The rain and the wind cranking up across a lot of our area. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We're your home for Caribbean weather, and it's fantastic to see you for this latest video. I hope you're doing well. Coming up, we're going to be talking about widespread heavy rain and a lot of wind that'll be even reaching a larger area as we get into our weekend. Of course, I'll take a look at our tropical potential over the next week to 10 days, and we'll get into your island by island rainfall forecast as well. Thanks for joining us for today. As we get started, Meteo Mundo, sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. It is storm season. Storm comes across your area, you get wind damage, hail damage, hurricane damage. They'll walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. Go to leanomelaw.com if you would like more information. I want to hear from our Meteo Mundo weather community. Let me know what's been happening in your area. Of course, we now have the live cameras here at Meteo Mundo, and I have a lot of viewer picture and video to show you guys for today. It's a jam-packed video. Let's get started. First of all, again, a tremendous amount of moisture. We've had a couple of tropical waves move through. Yes, they've been fighting some Saharan dust to the north, but the southern Caribbean right now is lit up with hefty showers and storms and very gusty winds. Got a couple reports today out of Aruba of very heavy rain, and we'll look at that, and you can see the moisture-laden air in general over the ABC Islands. We've had some really fresh gusts across the area as well. Bonaire and Aruba, both over 30-mile-an-hour winds earlier today. Sea conditions are elevated. There's a small craft advisory in Curacao, so it's kind of pick your poison for today, but overall, it's been pretty active in the ABC Islands. This is a live look to Oranjestad. Now, it has cleared out at the hour. It's looking pretty nice there for now, but we had some heavier rain earlier. Again, the winds aren't as brisk as what they were earlier on this Friday. Gorgeous shot there. And again, take myself off camera because I just want to let you guys know exactly where these cameras are. This is from the Costa Linda Beach Resort there in Oranjestad. What a gorgeous beach resort that it is. Now, earlier today, hefty downpours. This is from our friend Jaden San Nicolas there in Aruba, kind of on the south coastline at the southern tip of the island. Hefty shower coming through that area. Said it was raining for about 90 minutes straight, and thought there were probably some localized flooding in Aruba. If you live in Aruba and you had some potting on roadways or you had some low-lying flooding, let me know in the comments section below. But we have another video to kind of back this up. This is from Rainier and Post Chiquito, Aruba. And again, heavy downpour coming through that part of the island earlier in the day. Gray skies and again, brisk showers. Just ample tropical moisture, friends, and portions of the ABC Islands for today got some of that. Appreciate Jaden and Rainier sending in those pictures and videos to help tell the weather story. We'll swing off towards the east here, back into the Windward Islands, a secondary area that has had some pretty active weather, especially back down towards Trinidad. Earlier today, again, and overnight, we've had very heavy rainfall. It was really prominent yesterday. Things are beginning to improve. Our flood threat that was at the orange level yesterday is back down to a yellow. The rivers are beginning to recede. We no longer have the heavy rainfall yellow alert. We have a high wind alert, though, yellow number 1 for our friends in Trinidad and Tobago. Wind gusts to Port of Spain earlier in at 35. And again, some of this tropical moisture-laden air has worked its way up through Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia and Barbados. Really concentrated, though, over Trinidad. We have displaced some of the Sahara dust with a little bit more tropical moisture. So a few more downpours, St. Lucia, the Grenadines, St. Vincent, maybe Barbados later today. Nothing as widespread, though, as TNT. But again, more pictures and videos to tell the story. Got this in from our friend R, who lives on St. Croix City. Got this from a buddy. And this was West Trinidad yesterday. And you can't see a lot from this shot. Those were some of the heavier downpours they were getting on the west side of Trinidad. Said things were a lot better for today. Again, overall drying out in TNT. And of course, we have our live camera. So we got to take you live to Corinth, St. Lucia there. This is from the Calabash Cove Resort and Spa there on the west coastline of St. Lucia. We're looking back to the south from that camera. Once again, it's just another relatively cloudy day. It's a little bit of haze, but more than anything, it's just the tropical moisture has come back in. Bit of a breeze. There hasn't been a ton of rain on St. Lucia again for today. We've had some passing showers and a very fast variety. And again, just probably not as much sunshine as some of the vacationers would like to see this time of the year, but it is the situation. Now, the farther north that we go across the Lesser Antilles, we are drying out a bit. This is what it looks like on the visible satellite imagery. We do have mid-level clouds coming in out of the west, but your surface winds are still going to be out of the east, and we're still going to have some passing showers possible. Again, nothing is going to be concentrated for today. These are fast-moving showers. Now, look, surf and sea conditions are up again. Marine advisories from Barbados north through many of the Lesser Antilles islands. So again, if you're a boater, please keep very cautiously. You might want to avoid the windward sides of the islands. Easily 2 to 3 meter waves, 6 to 9 foot waves. Sheltered locations, your best bet over the next couple of days. We'll continue to see very gusty conditions across the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. Again, your wind gusts right now from St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John, 25, 30 miles an hour. Same situation across Puerto Rico as well. Ponce, Aguadilla, San Juan, all seeing some winds right around 30 miles an hour. Back over to the U.S. Virgin Islands. Again, we have some pictures to show you from Christiansted. This was from Isabel late yesterday at sunset hour. Beautiful shot there. Again, just a bit of haze in the sky, but that's beginning to thin out. We are seeing the Saharan dust concentration go away in the Virgin Islands and the Puerto Rico area, which is going to allow better rain chances to come back in. And this is our He said Christiansted is in the background of this shot. And again, appreciate him sending in that photo from his buddy in West Trinidad. And this shot from Christiansted, again, gorgeous there. Appreciate those shots. Now, we are seeing a few more showers developing here on the west side of Puerto Rico, just like we had the last couple of days. Couple of lightning strikes, Mayaguez back to the west of Yauco area here. And again, those are kind of just trying to push to the east, but they're not really moving very quickly. Locally heavy rainfall is possible in a couple of areas of the southwest side of Puerto Rico, but I'm not extremely worried about it for the remainder of the day. Scattered showers are just beginning to develop at the hour here across the Dominican Republic and Haiti. It's been a little bit drier day here. When I bring on the water vapor imagery, you'll see why. We've had a little bit thicker Sahara dust move back in. Now, on the southern coastline, the atmosphere is a little bit more juiced up. So for Port-au-Prince and Lacai and Bajarona and Santo Domingo and Punta Cana, I think we're going to have a better chance for a few storms here compared to places like Samana Peninsula, Santiago de los Caballeros, and up towards Puerto Plata. That drier air in red on this water vapor imagery is very concentrated right now over the southeast sides of the Bahamas and into portions of Turks and Caicos. It doesn't mean you're not going to try and get a couple of showers and storms there, because you can see there towards the Caicos, we're trying to develop, you know, a brief little thunderstorm there. Let's get a little bit of rain forward to Turks and Caicos for today. It's not going to be much, very isolated, but it's good to see just a little bit of moisture trying to develop under that drier air. Once again, thunderstorms are going robust over Cuba. They're pushing a little bit more south and west for today, but they'll mainly stay across the mainland. And my friends in Jamaica, have we talked about, again, this pattern just being the case about the last week, where we've gotten a few lighter morning showers in eastern parishes, especially Portland and St. Thomas parishes. Then you get the better thunderstorm chances in the afternoon, especially for Hanover and Westmoreland parishes on the western side of the island. This is what it looks like for you out there right now. I'm going to bring this loop down to just the last couple of hours and watch these storms develop from Falmouth, especially towards Montego Bay, Cambridge, Sav-la-Mar, Negril, Lucy. It's the same areas that have had the heftier thunderstorms the past week are seeing them again on this Friday late afternoon. Again, unfortunately, what that means is our friends that have been dry continue to be dry. They're desperate for some rain in some portions of Jamaica. Again, there is going to be an overall pattern change coming up, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. By the way, extremely brisk winds outside right now, especially off the southern coast, where the large wave and strong wind advisory continues for both near and offshore waters, including Pedro and Morant Bank. I've noticed a couple of brief passing showers of the Cayman Islands for today, but we've mainly been dry. Most of the activity in Jamaica will kind of stay off to your south and to the west. But again, you can clearly see our tropical moisture is beginning to climb north in latitude. And if you live in southern Jamaica, you look off to your south and west, you're probably at least seeing some darker clouds out there. This is all bubbling up from our monsoon trough here that's lifting a little bit to the north, and we'll talk more about that. But you can talk about as well and see the active weather beginning to spin back into the northern sides of Honduras. I mentioned this in yesterday's video, where this moisture will creep north and then kind of bow back towards the west. So if you live in Aruba, or excuse me, if you live in Roatan, Guanaja, and Utila, and you're looking back off towards the east, you can see some of those thicker clouds working their way back in. Bit of breeze out there as well. A lot of you guys who live in the Bay Islands have been talking about the winds that we've seen lately, but on this visible satellite imagery, you can clearly see the thicker clouds moving back in, and those will eventually get back towards places like Belize City and coastal Guatemala as well. Moisture-laden air, better opportunity for storms. I'll bring back on the enhanced satellite imagery. You can clearly see these thunderstorms east side of Honduras, back to Nicaragua, scattered showers and heftier thunderstorms portions of Costa Rica and Panama. Another area to talk about in a minute here in the western side, or the eastern Pacific, west of us. And an isolated thunderstorm today possible in the Yucatan, but many dry hours and locations, at least right now. Same situation for our friends through most of the Bahamas as well. Again, winds aren't horrible. Take a look at your current temperatures. We'll take it. And again, the purple numbers are from our buoy observations. I'll take those off to not confuse everyone. Freeport today, 88 for a daytime high. Nassau, 88 for a daytime high. Androstown, 88 for a daytime high. A brief shower is possible in northern Bahamas, but otherwise we're looking fantastic. Central Eleuthera we go. Once again, our friend Squire Estate there in Governor's Harbor. That catamaran just sitting there in the cove, enjoying what is a lovely afternoon. Gentle breeze, a few clouds in the background, but otherwise we're high and dry here in Central Eleuthera. Friends, I appreciate you guys. If you gotten anything out of this video so far, you like the cameras that we have live here at Meteo Mundo, appreciate the pictures and videos that we're getting in, hit that like button for me right now. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. Appreciate those who are members. I did an exclusive member short before this video, kind of as a preview. So if you want to become a member, 2 tiers that we offer. Our supporter tier, it's just 99 cents a month. It's a really simple way to say, hey, we appreciate what we're doing here at Meteo Mundo. You get custom badges and emojis when we have our live streams. I shout you out. Your names are in a different color so everyone knows you're a supporter of the channel. If you want to crank it up a notch, we have Team MM, and that tier gets you those exclusive member shorts. I'll give you my thoughts behind the scenes, maybe what I'm looking at, something that has piqued my interest, some behind the scenes looks as well. And that's just $2.99 a month. And I appreciate all of our members, our supporters, and Team MM. Again, the reason why we're beginning to see a little bit drier air and lower rain chances across Dominican Republic, Haiti today, and eventually we'll skirt over towards potentially Jamaica and Cuba, will be that Saharan dust concentration. Now look, it is not nearly as thick as the last couple of plumes, right? And it will dissipate faster. There's a little bit more dust that'll move back into the Lesser Antilles, and the southern side of the Lesser Antilles, especially down to the Windward Islands, we'll see some drier conditions because of this. But overall, we're not going to have nearly as much impact through most of the Caribbean from this next plume of Saharan dust. It just means a more active pattern is going to come back into play, friends. And again, now that we're getting deeper into June, we also continue to look back to the basin of the Atlantic here for more tropical activity to develop as far as tropical waves. We're quiet right now on the heels of this moisture, but there is plenty to play with right now from the Eastern Caribbean all the way back into the Northwest Caribbean. I do want to talk about the East Pacific for a second because we now have our 4th named storm. Can you believe that? They got their D-named storm already. Delilah. This name tells me we're running out of names because Delilah is about the sweetest name I've ever heard, and yet this could potentially become a high-end tropical storm. We got to watch out for some flooding from Acapulco to the north to the west there, across portions of the Pacific coastline of Mexico before Delilah moves a little bit farther offshore. But again, for our area, Southern Caribbean, it's going to get wet. It's going to stay windy. Take a look at these wind vectors here over the next couple of days. I'm going to throw this into motion. And again, where you see these purples and pinks, those are going to be winds of 20 to 25 miles an hour. And you're going to note how fresh the winds are going to stay, mainly out of the east. The winds are going to really get strong near Belize and Guatemala and Honduras as we get towards early next week, with the potential, again, for a deeper disturbance to develop in the Western Caribbean, and we'll look more at that coming up. I'm very concerned overall about the boating forecast the next several days in all of the Caribbean. Only the Turks and Caicos and the northern sides of the Dominican Republic and Haiti and the Bahamas do I think that we're going to have fine sea conditions. I would still watch myself in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, and especially in the Lesser Antilles and all of the Caribbean as well. Let me go back to that. I don't want to get into that yet. I want to bring up this, and that's going to be our rainfall. Then we'll look at your island by island rainfall forecast then we'll get into the tropics. So again, we can clearly see the punch of moisture that continues to stream in here. We're going to see this lift to the north, and I'm going to show you a couple of different models in how this is going to play out. Again, in the short term, this is just going to be a huge area of rain and wind. There's nothing in the lower levels that's trying to spin up, okay? Both the GFS and the European are very quiet with this, at least through mid next week. Things will diverge from there, and we'll talk about that coming up. But heavy rain, developing, lifting north for all of Central America. You know, San Pedro Sula, La Ceiba, the Bay Islands of Honduras, Belize City. Rain chances only improving and heavier rain chances coming along with this as well, especially as we get into Monday. It'll still be scattered over the weekend, especially from, you know, northern Honduras north, but even into Quintana Roo, we're going to start to see better rain chances begin to evolve, especially early next week. Now, again, I've mentioned the changeup in Jamaica. We're going to kind of change the pattern beginning on Monday from just the morning showers east and the thunderstorms west, which I still expect to be the main pattern of the weekend. But starting on Monday, we should lift some of this tropical moisture north to try and get everyone at least a better chance for showers. Look, when we have desperate times and folks are desperate for rain, I don't want to overstate the opportunity, but I do expect there to be enough tropical moisture in here to provide a better chance. Does that mean everyone who needs rain is going to get it? No. Does that mean everyone who needs rain is going to get enough? No. But certainly a better chance than what we've had lately in some spots in Jamaica. And you can clearly see why I feel this way as that moisture from this system even pulls back into Haiti. It means the Cayman Islands should start to see better rain and thunderstorm chances as well. Moisture will stream back over Hispaniola. The ABC Islands will also be in store for some decent rain chances, at least over the next day or two. It should begin to dry out a touch as some of this moisture pulls farther to the west, but more passing, potentially heavier downpours for Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao over the weekend as well. Now, we will begin to dry out a bit overall in the Lesser Antilles, especially compared to what we've had lately down at Trinidad and Tobago and Grenada and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. North of there, fast-moving showers, Barbados, St. Lucia, Martinique, Dominica, Guadeloupe, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua, Barbuda, Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Bart, Saba, St. Eustatius, all fast-moving passing showers, brisk easterly winds, elevated surf and sea conditions out there as well. Not a lot of Saharan dust, that's good news. Rain chances should really go up compared to what we've had for the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and especially Puerto Rico. I'm talking about as we get into Monday, like about a 70% chance for showers. And you can see that here on the GFS model where we could have some pretty darn moisture-laden air sitting over the area, and that could provide some heavier downpours that then slips back into the Dominican Republic. So the DR's rain chances will be coming back up, especially towards Santo Domingo and Punta Cana. And again, as we get into Monday, over the weekend, it's more of a scattered variety. Not a ton of rain for the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos over the weekend, which is great. Look, fantastic boating conditions. Get outside and enjoy it. You guys know your active weather is coming back, you know, before you know it again. If you need some more rain, unfortunately, in the shorter term, I don't have a lot, but potentially down the road, some of this moisture tries to lift back to the north, at least in some fashion. Cuba stays wet as well. In the Bermuda area, before we get into the island by island forecast, I expect it to be dry over the weekend with a couple of passing showers moving back in on Monday. But this is what it looks like in the broad perspective for us here. And again, now before we actually get into the island by island, I did want to bring up the NAM model real quickly. And the reason I want to bring this up is we've mentioned how the models differ a bit in trying to develop a true center of circulation here, right? Just to show you guys one reason why I'm also still relatively high on better rain chances for the Cayman Islands and Jamaica in particular is because, you know, on this NAM, as this system is much more elongated and doesn't really fully wrap up, that's more of a mid-level center there, you can see how all this moisture gets pushed farther north into the east. So even by Monday, and I expect even better rain chances, cross your fingers, Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe, you can see some of that more moisture-laden air getting back over Jamaica, especially late Sunday and into Monday. So overall, based on what I've been seeing, we're upping the rain chance and we're changing the pattern where everyone gets a bit of a rain. So let's break it down for you guys, island by island. Northwest, central, and southeast Bahamas, not a lot. maybe slightly higher in the southeast Bahamas on Monday. Same situation for my friends in Turks and Caicos. Hefty downpours continue across Cuba, but they'll stay localized there. Cayman Islands rain chances should begin to improve on Monday as well. Belize City's rain chances are more isolated to scattered over the weekend, and then more widespread on Monday. That's going to include Roatan, Utila, and Guanaja as well. Cancun and Cosmo's rain chances, we're on the doorstep of seeing better rain chances, but through Monday, it's still isolated. Jamaica's chances, again, should be improving. Not bad over the weekend, but even better on Monday, potentially even upping that. We'll just keep an eye on things, but I have a fairly good feeling that we're gonna have some pretty good showers here early next week. The Dominican Republic's rain chances again build back in. The Saharan dust concentration goes away. There's your 50 tomorrow in Puerto Rico, but up to 70 on Monday. Building rain chances across USVI and BVI as well. Slightly better chance for showers in Bermuda on Monday. Not bad for Anguilla. Pretty dry for tomorrow, fast-moving showers Sunday, Monday. Building rain chances return to St. Kitts and Nevis. And then we're just in that isolated rain chance for most of the Lesser Antilles over the weekend and into early next week. So not a ton of rain. Still more worried about the surf and sea conditions than anything, but 20, 30, at best 40% chance, but many dry hours and locations in the Lesser Antilles through Monday. Barbados rain chances are basically done outside of a rogue quick fast passing shower. Grenada's rain chance drops very quickly. It's actually good to see the rain chance lower in Trinidad and Tobago, especially at Trinidad, where again, the rivers are beginning to recede, which is good news. And hopefully we don't get additional heavier rain in those spots. Suriname and Guyana with scattered showers. Nueva Esparta isolated. Still a decent chance for a few showers today, tonight, and overnight in the ABC Islands. And then a little bit drier as we get into late Saturday, Sunday, and on Monday. Again, on this wave height and direction map, you're going to see a lot of greens out there, friends. This is based off of the GFS model, so you're going to really see it freshen up towards Central America, again, early to mid next week with, again, a potential area trying to develop there near the Yucatan Peninsula and then towards the southwest Gulf of Mexico. But even east of the Lesser Antilles in the Atlantic Basin, you're going to see some, again, 6, 8, 10-foot wave heights, 2.5 to 3.5 meters in a couple of areas. Rainfall totals, again, will be significant and building as we go through early next week and into midweek. Again, a lot of red on this map. Now, it's just beginning to creep up as we get to the end of this time frame, but that's a lot of rain for portions of Honduras and Nicaragua South America, portions of the Windward Islands, what we've already seen. And again, beginning to move north in latitude and also push back off towards the west as well. So let's get into what the island by island, or not the island by island, let's get into the overall forecast for the tropics. So I'm going to go back over here to the widespread look, go back over to the GFS, and we're going to take a look at the European model as well, and then bring this out a full week. So we're going to go out to the 20th. Now, if you watched the video from yesterday, right, we were looking at, again, right near Belize or the Bay Islands of Honduras, the GFS model having some kind of rotation there and then pushing it across the Yucatan and into the Southwest Gulf. That overall solution hasn't really changed for today, okay? Again, regardless of getting a depression out of this, I think we're gonna have a very broad area of heavy tropical downpours and a lot of wind underneath that as well. You can see, and we're getting to the time frame now where we're not talking about a week out. We're really talking about kind of beginning late Sunday and on Monday as this will begin to spin in and then moving across the Yucatan and potentially into the western side of the Gulf of Mexico. You can see all the heavier rain there as we get towards like next Thursday and then next Friday. And look, on the heels of this, even more moisture beginning to return. This is going to be a more active area here in the coming week. Now, regardless, again, of actual development, a lot of rain. Best chance for places like Jamaica and the Cayman Islands will probably be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then if this spins away, it'll actually pull in a little bit drier air in the shorter term, keeping the Yucatan, most of Mexico, and really all of Central America on the wetter side, which is typical this time of the year with the monsoon trough. Again, there is the possibility that we could have the fifth named storm of the East Pacific season before we get the first one here of the Atlantic hurricane season, which is just fine, but it is interesting how busy that they have been. Now, if we take a look at the surface-based winds out of this model on the GFS, and I'll loop this up, once again, I point out the fact that you have a tremendous amount of wind through the Caribbean Your purples are into the 20s miles an hour sustained. These are sustained winds at the surface. To the whites, which gets you up into that 30-mile range. And again, just kind of curlicueing around Nicaragua and Honduras, a little bit more of a tighter rotation here. But again, does this become anything, or is it just a lot of wind? We'll have to wait and see. The GFS model, which has been much more aggressive in trying to paint something on in the Northwest Caribbean, is weaker today because the center kind of stays closer to shore, so you never fully get that actual rotation and spin to be completely offshore. But look at all of the wind energy that moves across the Yucatan, Cancun, Cozumel, Tulum, Chetumal, beginning on like the 17th, 18th for a few days, and then into the Southwest Gulf. And again, does anything try to get squirrely there, right? So that's what it looks like on the GFS model. And just again, point out all of the wind energy that we're going to see, but especially in the Northwest Caribbean. European model pressure plots. Again, this is on the ensemble product. Still very aggressive with a potentially fifth area here in the Eastern Pacific. And again, just like yesterday, if it's going to develop anything, it tries to here 18th, 19th time frame. So, next Wednesday, Thursday, Southwest Gulf of Mexico, nothing in the Northwest Caribbean. So it even pulls it farther west. And again, if it gets back off over land from, the east side of Mexico, we could potentially have something in the Southwest Gulf by then. But there's not a lot pointing to something just definitely developing right now. I think more than anything, this is just a broad area of heavy rain and some really gusty winds, which could be enough to cause other problems outside of getting a true tropical depression or storm in the form of some heavy rain and some wind problems that could come along with it. Friends, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for following us across all of our social media, Instagram, TikTok, X, and Facebook. Just like many of you did today, you want to send me a picture or video to help tell the weather story? It's mymeteomundo@gmail.com.